Today, I want to take a closer look at an interesting topic impacting the AI market right now. And I've gotten so many questions asking what I believe it can kind of do to our favorite semiconductor company, Nvidia, at the moment. So, for those that are not familiar, DeepSeek is a Chinese AI company, and they have reportedly trained and are providing AI solutions much cheaper than any of the United States tech giants. So on today's episode, I want to take a closer look at what's happening, what are some things that I think investors should keep an eye out, and obviously how it's going to impact Nvidia and other AI stocks. But too long, don't watch. I believe there's a lot more to the story that is being told. So just kind of hearing this, hey look, there's a Chinese player doing things 98% cheaper than the United States players, I think I wouldn't be scared on those news. But I do think investors should have some things to kind of figure out and some things to kind of keep a closer eye on. And if you want to know more, stay tuned for the rest of the episode. Make sure to hit the thumbs up. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Check out the pinned comment for a special offer at fool.com/Jose. And check out my free daily semiconductor newsletter, whatthechip.happened.com. So let's get started.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
So if we kind of start off and just Google DeepSeek, you're going to see so many articles, something like this, how China's new AI model, DeepSeek, is threatening US dominance. And you will see, will Chinese DeepSeek disrupt Nvidia? And the main reason is, if you kind of take a closer look at my daily newsletter where I did kind of announce or already share this information, DeepSeek, which is a recent open source language model, reportedly cost only about $600 million and 2 months to build, using Nvidia's slightly less powerful H800 chip instead of the top shelf H100. And this raised eyebrows because other industries players are spending far more on similar projects, right? We've heard companies like Microsoft and Meta in just the past few days announced multi-billion dollars in capex, right? We have Microsoft announced $80 billion in capex for fiscal year of 2025, and we recently had Meta announce $65 billion in capex for AI infrastructure in 2025. So we're saying, how can this be true? And there's this player out there in China doing it for millions of dollars, not billions, millions of dollars, and using the weaker chip of Nvidia, not even the top of the line chip. And this is creating a lot of negative press and a lot of negative sentiments to companies like Nvidia, right? Because if you can do this a lot cheaper, you're not going to need to spend that much products on AI chip solutions. So there are a few reasons why I want to share that I think there's a lot more hidden than is really discussed. And also, I do want to say there's two things that can be true at the same time. First thing that could be true is DeepSeek could have probably done something amazing in the AI world, and the way they're training models or the way they're doing something could be better than other players. That could be true. But it could also be true that they might be lying in what type of products and how much money they really spent. Now, there's a lot of reasons behind this. One of the reasons that they could be lying and mention, hey, look, we only used H800 is because this is a Chinese player. They should not have access to the H100 at all, right? We've heard kind of export regulations, but those export regulations have easily gotten bypassed one way or another. And I do believe things like this is why just about a week ago, we saw the Biden administration, before leaving, announce the AI diffusion export rules, which control even more and more regulations on AI markets, more importantly on cloud providers, right? And that was kind of the bypass where China, while they didn't get it directly, they were still renting out GPU spaces from other cloud server providers that might have wanted to overlook who was really purchasing those GPU computational powers, right? And that's where the AI diffusion export control rule kind of takes a bigger impact, right? So I think one of the main reasons these Chinese players are not telling the truth is because if they did, then we would be like, hey, look, see, export regulations are not working, and maybe we should even make them stricter and stricter. And very much we see it with the AI diffusion rule. Then we also see Dylan Patel. And Dylan Patel, for those that are not familiar, he is the lead analysis in semi-analysis, one group and firm that I have so much respect for in the semiconductor market. So on November 20th of 2024, when DeepSeek announced kind of one of their core models, he mentions that DeepSeek has over 50,000 Hopper GPUs. To be clear, people need to stop acting like they only have 10,000 A100 clusters and small H800. They are, and he kind of said pretty much what I mentioned earlier, right? That they are great at machine learning research, but they aren't doing with that many fewer GPUs that we see right now. So like I mentioned, two things can be true, right? You could see an improvement in AI efficiency one way or another, but you can also be relying on how much infrastructure you are using. Now, as an Nvidia shareholder, this is obviously something that should be considered, but there are a few questions that come in mind. The first question is, not only if I was an Nvidia investor, but if I was an investor in all these other big companies, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Anthropic, Perplexity, OpenAI, out of the thousands and thousands and probably tens of thousands of AI engineers that all these top companies have combined, not one of them saw this coming. Not one engineer decided to say, hey, you're spending billions of dollars in AI capex. I can show you how to do it a lot cheaper. Not one of those engineers decided to start a startup that would be massive of providing way cheaper AI markets. Not one of them, like really not one. So to me, that already kind of brings like a red flag, right? I'm not saying that it's impossible, but the chances of something like that happening are insane. And again, I come from the engineering world. I myself know that not every engineer is like actually super smart, but within these teams, they're what I personally call 10x engineers. I really don't know if that's kind of a common phrase used, but 10x engineers are in every group. You have these few engineers that are just levels ahead. And those guys' minds just work at a completely different level. Those 10x engineers are the ones that really run everything, right? If you're a 10x engineer, you could be the reason why a new product is insane. And if you have a better 10x engineer, you're the reason why that product could be infinitely times better. All these companies have levels and levels of 10x engineers, probably some of 100x engineers, right? So to me, one of these big tech players not having or finding out about this solution is very, very rare to me. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I also kind of posted on Twitter here, something that I am excited about. This week, we do have some big earnings, right? We have Meta, Microsoft, and Tesla reporting earnings this upcoming week. So I'm happy that this DeepSeek talk is actually happening this week because it means it's going to be popular. And I'm hoping analysts are questioning these teams and saying, hey, look, you guys are spending billions and billions of dollars on AI, but there are reports that a Chinese company is doing it way cheaper. Are your engineers just that inefficient? Should you reduce your AI engineers by 80%? Or is something fishy happening? And obviously, I think maybe Microsoft might be a little bit chill with it, but Meta Platforms, we know Mark is really big into the AI market. I think Mark might share some great insight here. And hopefully in Tesla, we do kind of see some of these questions as well. I wonder if Elon wants to stir the pot, but definitely going to be pretty interesting. And I think I'm happy that AI earnings are happening this week because maybe we might get some clarity from these bigger players, right? So Mark and Elon are probably two players that I'm gonna really listen to see if analysts ask a question. And if for some reason any analysts are watching this video, hopefully this is a question you can go and ask management this week. So that's one thing. The other thing that I kind of wanted to mention is that how could this impact companies like Nvidia? And there's two ways to see it. Every solution is a double-edged sword in the tech world. It all depends on how you innovate. In the bearish side, if this is true, you're going to definitely see a reducency in Nvidia's training hardware, right? So that is true that it could be impactful if it's true. Now, again, if I was to pick a side, based on just my overall gut feeling, I don't believe this is true. So the bad thing is it would reduce revenue dramatically and investment dramatically heavily. I mean, we also just saw massive investments planned this upcoming in just the past 2 weeks. So again, I don't think this is true, but if it is true, definitely bearish for Nvidia. If it is also true, we can also see it in a bullish case. If this AI is extremely cheap, then what happens when things get a lot cheaper? More people are willing to try it out and test it out. More apps can be built. Now that more people can kind of create apps with AI solutions, and it could be a cheaper startup cost opposed to maybe paying high amounts of dollars with some other training models or some other models, using a cheaper open source allows maybe the mass productions of some crazy consumer app. Now this is going to accelerate AI usage. With the accelerate of AI usage, you're going to need to either have more tokens being sold via inference, which Nvidia does pretty well with. You maybe want to continue to develop it even more, which again Nvidia has. If you want to do more software solutions, Nvidia has tons of software solutions. So if you are increasing the capacity of usage and the amounts of people using AI, you're going to need more demand for AI compute. Now, the question is, would this be enough to offset kind of the training revenue? That's something to kind of consider, right? But it's not necessarily, if this is true, completely bearish. There's always pulls and takes. Maybe the pulls might not be as strong in this, or the takes might not be as strong in this, but I want to say it's not completely 100% bearish case for Nvidia. But if it is true, it definitely could impact Nvidia in forms of stock price. So I think we're going to have to hear this out a little bit more. I'm pretty excited for some of the earnings we have this week. And unfortunately, Nvidia is not expected to report earnings till next month, but I believe by then we will hear a lot of updates. But it's always interesting in this AI market that there's always something that should be scary for Nvidia. Last quarter, it was delays. The quarters before that, it was more delays. The quarter before that, it was maybe the reduction in capex. So there's always something. Right now, I'm still leaning to there's more truth to be told, and we need to seek deeper answers. Get it, DeepSeek. But yeah, it's definitely something to keep a closer eye out. So not bearish at the moment, but something I'm watching. Let me know your comments below. Again, the biggest thing I have to say is, how did no AI company come up with this answer when they have tons and tons of engineers working behind them? But yeah, take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.